Hello and welcome to my first tutorial. And this tutorial is going to be on using the Photoshop pen tool to do your line art. And you don't have to have Photoshop, any painting program, any program that has the pen tool, these same principles could be applicable. Just the shortcuts and stuff are could possibly be different, but the principles are pretty much just the same. So I really like using the Photoshop pen tool for two reasons. One, it's a lot quicker when you are drawing a picture. Um, and two, I'm just not good at actually drawing with my tablet. It would help if I had my tablet right side up instead of upside down. So I'm just not very good at drawing. Okay. So what the pen tool could do is just allow you to do a line from point A to point B, and you can adjust the line however you want, like so. And so some of the basic things that you need to do is first, these are the basic things that you'll need for using the pen tool: Control, Alt, Spacebar, brush, and pen tool, and the stroke shortcut, and also Shift. So if I have these two lines here and I hit Control, I can move whichever one the way I can move this line where I want it to go. And then the Alt button, say I want to have this line curved right here, and then I want this one to go sort of at a 90-degree angle, or a different kind of angle. I'm gonna go over these bars more, but just press Alt and you break that bar, and you can change the angle of it. And then the space bar, when you have it zoomed in, it just allows you to move the picture around, and just a little time saver. And then brush, the BMP is for brush and pen. So you may need to switch between your brush and pen tools while doing this. And then stroke shortcut. So if you go to for doing the line art, you'll need to do a shortcut for your stroke. So what you do is you go to Edit, Keyboard Shortcuts, and typically it will be you'll have this one clicked, the applications menus. So if you go click this bar and then go down to panel menus, and then you go down to, I think it's, no, not layers, paths. Panel menus, then paths, and then stroke path. And then you could set whatever shortcut you want for there. I just chose Control F because I wasn't using that for anything else. And then the Shift button. So if you just want to do a straight line, it'll just do a straight line. from wherever, from this point, from your last point, to wherever you are clicking. So it's a real time saver learning these shortcuts, mainly because you don't have to go and click. You could just hit them on your keyboard and yeah. Okay. So here is sort of like an overview of the pen tool. So if you go and click on a point and click to another point, and then I'm going to use my stroke. I need to back up for a second. So we're going to set up our pen tool. So first you can go to your brush, hit B to go to brush. I like to use the pencil tool, but all these steps are sort of up to your personal preference. So I go to brush and then I click the pencil tool, and then I find a brush that I like. So see, I'll just click on that brush, and I'll just sort of test it out, just draw with it. Find a nice line thickness that I like. Okay. So once I find a nice line thickness, I got my pencil or brush or whatever set up. I go and hit P, and then do my stroke shortcut, and it'll stroke subpath, and you want to click on whichever one you have set up. So you can do like tons of different ones. Pencil, brush, eraser, background eraser, stamps, all that. So I'm going to click on pencil, and it will do a line from there to there. And you can hit this button right here, have this toggled on or off, and this is also for personal preference too. Stimulate pressure. So when you have your pressure on, it'll simulate the pressure of your tablet's pressure sensitivity. And if you don't have it, it'll just do a straight line. And so you can go from point A to point B to point C. And so and you can do pretty much any curve, angle, whatever you want with this. So say you can go, so point A here and point B is here. You can click there, and then you can click in the middle to add an anchor point. And you can adjust it by holding the control any way that you want. And so you can pull the anchor, this bar out to adjust sort of like the curvature and the angle. And so when you're moving this bar around, this will, when you move this bottom one, I didn't want to do that. So when you move this bottom one, it will adjust the top, and vice versa. So if you don't want that, so say you have this line where you want it, but you want to adjust this one without adjusting this one, just hit Alt and it'll break the bar. And voila. And so point A to point B. You can click and drag to bring up the bar. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is the U. And so this will bring up sort of your shapes. And so you can right click on here and you can do a rectangle tool, a rounded rectangle tool, an ellipse tool, or a custom shape tool. So when I'm doing circles, I like to just go and hit U and make sure you have up here path selected. And so you can make a circle and stroke it, or transform it, and then stroke the path however you want it. And so the next thing I want to talk about is saving your paths. So you can go make a circle and you can click over here to paths and it'll have this work path, and you can save the path and go on about your business, doing all kinds of stuff, but you want to get back to that circle. Boom, you got it right there. So that's really the basics of the pen tool. Mainly, the main thing is make sure you practice with it, because I found when I started using the pen tool, I found it very unintuitive, and it took me just a lot of practice to get it the way I wanted to do it. Get the paths to move the way I wanted them to move. And so I'm gonna do, I have a rough sketch here. So I just drew this skull, and I'm gonna show you how I do my line art with the pen tool. And so I already have my brush and everything. Yeah, so I already have my brush and everything set up, and I'm gonna do a picture for you. So I'm gonna make a new layer and make sure that my brush is set up, and I'm just gonna go in and do this picture. Alright, so since this is a skull, what I'm going to do is I want this all to be symmetrical. And so I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to paste it. So I have another skull here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to transform it and flip it horizontal. And boom, I have my skull. And yeah, so now all that's left to do is just go through and when I'm doing the line art, I don't worry about the lines sort of crossing each other. I go through with an eraser. So I'm going to take and I'm going to merge these layers. And so I just go through with an eraser. And I clean up these lines. And so without zooming out, I'm just going through and I have my tablet and I'm holding down, I have a button on my tablet for a shortcut. Sometimes I use my keyboard. You can hear my keyboards. And I switch between the E and the B. I don't have enough buttons on my tablet for a eraser and brush shortcut. And also, if you need to change your, I have a shortcut to change my line thickness on the fly. Sometimes I forget that. That's the bracket buttons on the keyboard. And so I'm going to do the teeth next. I didn't do the teeth because I didn't want the teeth to be exactly symmetrical. The skull faces, skulls, and everything are, for the most part, pretty symmetrical, but teeth are not. So I'm going to go ahead and do the teeth. All right, so I have my skull here, and I'm gonna go to my wand tool, and there we go. So yeah, we have our skull here, and I did my line art with the pen tool. So I'm just gonna go ahead and try to do something with the skull because a skull is just boring. So yeah, I'm just gonna fast forward through that part, and yeah, maybe hopefully I can come up with something cool with this skull. So, all right, thank you guys for watching, and please like and subscribe, and come and join me on the next one.